I am. Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, you got it, bro.
Okay, kind of. All right, Shalom. We the brothers from the Great Millstone Atlanta camp, coming back at you through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, with a lesson, Lord's willing, is edifying. Before we get started, I want to give all praise and glory to
Yahweh,
by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Hakwadash. Also, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, the teacher rule well, peace, love, and safety to the hopeful elect, and on the brother Shalomah.
Brother Kashakwala.
And we're just gonna go through the second book of Samuel, chapter 12, and basically going into David's adultery with Bathsheba, leading up to basically the way that the Lord pretty much just put a curse, because of that situation. So that's why a lot of our women are the way they are today, and also it's in the curses that a man shall you shall betroth the wife, another man shall lie with her. So that's basically what David did, and but it was even worse because he got the husband killed because the woman was with child. So without further ado, we're gonna get into it. And you got anything you want to add before I start reading?
No, we got it. So we can start in the Second Samuel chapter 12. We'll start at the top, and then we'll get to the point at hand. It says, "And the Lord sent Nathan unto David, and he came unto him and said unto him, There were two men in one city, the one rich and the other poor. The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing save one little ill lamb, which he had bought and nourished up, and it grew up together with him and with his children. It did eat of his own meat and drank of his own cup, and lay in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. And there came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb and dressed it for the man that was come to him. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said to Nathan, As the Lord liveth, the man that hath done this shall surely die."
All right, let me just speak on it real quick. So this is actually reflecting on chapter 11. Basically what David did, David had power, he was the king, so while he was on his rooftop, he saw this beautiful woman, and she was bathing. So he told one of his men, "Hey, go get her." And the man was like, "Well, was it Uriah?
Yeah.
That's Uriah's wife." So he took her anyway, laid with her, and put a baby in her. So that's basically what Nathan is explaining to David, because you sent this man to go take from, you're a rich man, you sent another man to go take from a poor man, one of his great possessions, probably his greatest possession.
Yep.
And and you're gonna die because of this.
So pretty much, in the modern day world, what people say is they have a trophy wife, meaning they highly regard their wife. And of course the scriptures also do say too that the glory of the man is the wife. So pretty much how the wife presents herself is how people look at that man. So if your wife is all dingy, dumb, and loose in a sense, they look at you like, huh, this guy can't even. That's a clear reflection of who you are. And that's another idea of why the Lord is so upset with us, because look at the nation of Israel, and he views us as women. Look at the nation of Israel today. And you wonder why a lot of people denounce the Lord and talk down. Am I saying that's okay? Or am I justifying that's the reason why they should talk like that? No. But you see our people today. And you see religious beliefs and things of that nature today. And then you wonder why. Because Israel's is going far off
Right.
as being a woman. And this is the same thing kind of here was spoken in chapter 11. Uriah, Bathsheba was a trophy wife to him. That's all he had. And he loved her. You know what I'm saying? That's all he had. You know, and King David went and took that. You know?
Okay. You want me to continue, or you want to?
I'll continue reading.
Okay, fine.
So verse 12, 2 Samuel 12 and 6, it says, in 5 again, it says, and David's anger was greatly kindled against the man, and he said to Nathan, as the Lord liveth, that man that have done this thing shall surely die. Verse 6, and it says, and he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing, and because he had no pity.
Yeah, that was, you know, me and the brothers just sitting here talking about. That's real cold, man. That's real. That's kind of low. Of course, you know, David's our king. He's gonna be our king in the kingdom, you know. But this is one thing that he did. He had to learn from it. Same thing with Solomon. You know, Solomon is Yahweh Shai. You know, we know that through the Spirit. But Solomon went off as well. You know, with those 1,000 wives. And,
Exactly.
you know, worshiping to their gods and doing, you know, the Lord knows what. So great men, kings have fallen and gone off. You know, so we learn from those things. And, you know, that's why we have the scriptures to let us know this is what the Lord wants. This is how the Lord needs you to be, how you need to walk in this world. Because of this situation, this curse, like, it's still going on today.
Yep.
All right. But yeah, you got it.
Verse 7, it says, and Nathan said to David, thou art the man. Thou art the man. So pretty much verse 5 and 6, David kind of gave his own judgment in a sense. And Nathan was like, okay, that's what you think should be paid back to that man? Well, you are that man. It says, thou art that man. Thus saith the Lord power of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. And I gave thee thy master's house, and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things. You see what the Lord, he's like, bro, if you wanted another woman, I would have gave you 10. You know, you wanted Bathsheba that bad, I would have gave you 10 other women better than her.
Yeah.
And that were virgins or something like that.
I think his first wife was no, I'm thinking about Solomon. I was thinking about Pharaoh's wife.
Yeah,
Pharaoh's daughter.
It was that 1 Kings 3, where he made affinity with Pharaoh by marrying his daughter.
Yeah, but you know, it was still to this day. It's so many women, single women. Why would you want to go get with a married woman?
Exactly.
You have even today. You got women begging to be wives. You know, a lot of them are you know, just kind of out there and lost, but you still got women that want to be good wives.
Yep.
So, you know, just go find you a wife that's not already tied to a husband. And if you do, just like the scriptures say, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to get it real quick.
Go ahead.
I had it pulled up. In Leviticus 20 and 10, it says, and the man that committed adultery with another man's wife, even he had committed adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. So, I mean, that's in the law for a reason. And just going back, I was working at this warehouse years ago, and I remember this guy told me a story about his brother. He said, yeah, man, my brother can't even tie his shoes to this day. I'm like, dang, what happened? He like, yeah, man, he was screwing this man's wife. Man walked in, hit him over the head with a bat. He didn't kill him, but he sent him back to being 2 years old again.
Oh man.
So that judgment probably worse than death, man.
Yep.
Now you know people gonna look at you and probably make fun of you because you're a retard now, because you committed a deadly sin. So the Lord actually kept him alive, and it may eventually kill him. Like, the Lord don't be playing with his judgments, man. The Lord got some real harsh judgments. He's our Father. He should. He should jack us up. We told us not to do one thing, and then we go out and we actually do it. So we got to face the consequences. So the same thing happened with David. He had to face the consequences.
Yep. I got a quick precept to that. Proverbs 6. Proverbs 6. Can't find it right now. I'll get it later. All right, but I'm gonna keep going.
But I just want to add it on top of that. He got the man killed.
Yeah, you're right.
That was even, not only did he commit adultery, but he almost really committed murder if you think about it.
That is that because King David, his three biggest sins was counting the house of Israel, or counting Israel, numbering the children of Israel, then committing adultery, and then the murder. Because it's, in the law in Exodus 20, it says, thou shalt not kill. When you go into that word kill, it means murder. Whenever you murder, it's premeditated. So even if you're the author of doing it, and if you didn't physically do it, doesn't mean you're still not a murderer. It reminds me, I hate this dude, Lil Boosie, but he went to jail for doing that because he hired somebody to go kill, some people, and then it tied back to him, and he ended up having to do time for it. But that's considered being a murderer, because you premeditated it. That's what the Lord is telling you not to do. Don't premeditate someone's death. That means you have it in your mind, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And when you go into the Gospels, and when Yahweh talks about, if you look at a woman and lust over her, you have committed adultery, because adultery is premeditated as well. And we saw the premeditation when you read about it in 2 Samuel 11. He saw her, I think she was taking a shower, he saw her, he's like, oh damn, asked about her, didn't care she had a man, and pursued it, and told his people to grab her, and she ended up laying with him, And like we were talking off camera, like, what is she gonna say? What is she gonna do? Say no to the king of Israel?
Yeah.
And possibly
face death?
Yeah. Because you're, purposely, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time,
she was willing.
She was willing, because the laws tell you to scream out. And even when you go back into the book of Genesis, with when her, at the time, her name was Sarah, because she got taken too, but Abraham said what? It
was his sister.
And then, but she did mention, if I'm not mistaken, that, oh yeah, that's my husband. And then the dude was like, yo, whoa, why did she not say that? And then he returned her to Abraham. See what I'm saying? There's ways to go about it, and there's accounts in the scripts. But I have that precept. I found it. Okay. It is Proverbs 6. Proverbs 6 and 32. It says, but whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. So like, I know we're not taking a shot at King David in any sense. This account is in the Bible for our learning. At the end of the day, you could take this all the way back to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. But matter of fact, let's read that real quick.
I got it.
Because we went off before King David even existed. You got it.
Deuteronomy 28:30 says, "Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof." I mean, if you really look at the full extent of that whole verse, that's kind of talking about our captivity, but still, our men are responsible for that too, laying with another man's wife, because a marriage back then was a real tight bond. So Esau, teaching all women to do this and do that, basically, I guess they feel it's okay, and but yeah, this devil is the one that really took our houses, took our work, resources, and our women. So that was a curse back then that it was going to happen. But then again, you got a curse on top of a curse, because one of our greatest men committed that.
Yep. And we transgressed. So when I read Proverbs 6:32, it says, "But whoso committeth adultery with the woman lacketh understanding." Shit, man, we did that as a people. When we committed adultery to the Lord, we transgressed and rebelled against the Lord, like it says in Lamentations 3:42. So let's continue. In 2 Samuel 12 and 9, it says, "Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah." See? "Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon." It says, verse 10, it says, "Now therefore, if the sword shall never, the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife." That's a curse. That's continual violence.
Yeah.
That's continual violence. Give me 1 second here. I want to see something in the blue letter. Let me get this word. Let me get this word "killed" in verse 9. And the word "killed" in the Hebrew is nakah, and it means to strike, smite, hit, beat, slay, or kill. It says clap or applaud. That's very interesting, because when you clap or applaud, you're
like cheering for someone.
in a sense cheering, but you're usually when there's a clapping or applaud, there's like they're cheering or an acceptance of, or what you could say an encore. So pretty much he put out the order to put Uriah in the front lines and applauded that, to move forward with that. And you notice it wasn't him who physically did the strike, but Nathan said it was you.
Right.
You see? It says, attack and destroy, conquer and subjugate. The word subjugate means to conquer, again, or bring under domination or control. It says to smite, chastise, send judgment upon him. Boom, right there. You forced a judgment on Uriah that didn't need to be there. You know, that didn't need to be there. So, continuing.
Not only, hold on, I just want to add something.
Mm-hmm.
He was sleeping at David's doorstep for his wife.
Yeah,
Yeah, so he was hurt,
it was very good.
and then he got sent out. That was terrible, man. That was terrible. But you know, just like we said before, that's why we got the scriptures for our learning. You know, don't even great kings that we look up to, David, Solomon. You know, we have to learn from the mistakes of great kings, even back then.
Mm-hmm.
But going into the kingdom, David's going to be our king again. So we're not going to be looking back, hey man, you remember that? No, he's going to be made perfect. All of us going to be made perfect. But just going through this, as a matter of fact, this was that woman was really supposed to be there because she actually gave birth to her first son died, but the second son was Solomon. And Solomon was, like I said, in the spirit, we know him as Yahweh Shai,
Mm-hmm.
who the world calls Jesus. So it was what am I trying to say? It was almost a righteous thing behind that sin that Solomon was created.
Mm. So verse 11 says, and thus saith the Lord, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this son. It says, for thou didst it secretly, but I will do this thing before all of Israel and before the sun.
So there you go. That's why you have adultery at an all-time high, just running rampant. And that's why you got diseases. That's why, AIDS is still on all people.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the Christian church, adultery is huge. It is huge. Those so-called pastors, they be knocking them women on the front row, man. So you're not safe anywhere.
No.
The only way you're safe, because we know brothers of Great Millstone and other brothers in the truth, understand the judgment behind this. We're not about to go do that. It's too late in the day to even be thinking about something like that. When I say today, I'm talking about it's too late in this current world.
Mm-hmm.
We almost out of here. You want to screw that up and go commit adultery? Even if you didn't know, still you just gotta know what you getting into, literally.
Yeah, and this is the prophet Nathan talking to David. So just like what Shalom was saying, like this type of curse or this type of repercussion is happening today. This is what you see with a lot of people going on, but also too this, because you gotta understand it's a prophecy and it's twofold, meaning it's near and far of what he's saying. So he says, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this son. We understand that the son is everlasting.
Same son.
This is the same son that King David saw on earth thousands of years ago that we're seeing here today. It's the same son. It's the same moon. And the same thing is going on. But I'm going to skip to chapter 16 of 2 Samuel to show how that prophecy actually came to pass. This is 2 Samuel 16 and 20. It says, then said Absalom to Ahithophel, give counsel among you that we shall do. And Ahithophel, if I'm saying that correctly, said unto Absalom, go into thy father's concubines, which he hath left to keep the house, and all Israel shall hear that thou art abhorred of thy father. Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong. So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and Absalom went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. Isn't that the same exact prophecy that Nathan said was going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Verse 11, he says, "Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with the wives in the sight of the sun, for thou didst secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun."
Yep.
And what did Absalom do? He literally had sex with his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel on the top of a building. Crazy word.
Man.
And it said your neighbor. Who's even Absalom was David's son. You see? It's the same thing when you go read about Jacob and his 12 sons. You know, and what did some of his sons do to his to Bilhah and Zilpah, you know? So continuing, it says, verse 13, it says, "And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, the Lord also hath put away thy sin, thou shalt not die." Let's see. Was that verse 13?
Okay.
So pretty much what that's saying in the NIV, it says, "Then David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Nathan replied, the Lord has taken away your sin. You are not going to die." So relax. You know, relax. The Lord's not going to kill you, but he is going to judge you. You know what I'm saying? Even though what he did was punishable by death.
Right. Now, on the flip side, if that was another man,
Oh, yeah, you out of there.
David would have put him to death.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep. You out of there.
that's why when he was telling Nathan, he was like, "Yeah, that man should surely die." And
Yep.
then Nathan was like, "Yeah, that's you."
Cut. It says, verse 14, "Howbeit, because that by this deed thou hast given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, the child also that is born unto thee shall surely die." Verse 15, it says, "And Nathan departed unto his house, and the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bare unto David, and it was very sick." And it says, "David therefore besought the Most High for the child, and David fasted and went in, and they lay all night upon the earth. And the elders of his house arose and went to him to raise him up from the earth, but he would not, neither did he eat bread with them." Verse 18, and it came to pass on the 7th day that the child died." Completion.
Mm-hmm.
"And the servants of David feared to tell him that the child was dead, for they said, Behold, while the child was yet alive, we spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child is dead?" But when David saw that his servants whispered, David perceived that the child was dead. Therefore David said unto his servants, "Is the child dead?" And they said, "He is dead." Verse 20. And then it says, "Then David arose from the earth and was washed and anointed himself and changed his apparel and came into the house of the Lord and worshiped. Then he came to his own house, and when he required, they set bread before him, and he did eat. Then said his servants unto him, What thing is this that thou hast done? Thou didst fast and weep for the child while it was alive, but when the child was dead, thou rise and eat bread. And he said, While the child was yet alive, I fasted and wept, for I said, Who can tell whether God will be precious," I'm reading verbatim, "to me that the child may live, or gracious to me that the child may live. But now he is dead, therefore I should fast. Can I bring him back again? I shall go to him, but he shall not return to me.
So he just accepted the judgment.
He accepted the judgment. You know, and this is what, like, again, like we're saying, we're tying this on to today, and this is the reason why our women are the way they are today, and why the men are the way they are today. You know, because ultimately, first we read Deuteronomy 28 and 30, the curses. You get a woman, she's gonna be betrothed to somebody else. You know, men are the progenitor of all things. You know, so our actions is what we pay for in the later time. So now, if you could get that in a Sirach, marvel not if a woman trespass against thee. Why is the scriptures in? I think that was Sirach 25. Why does the scriptures tell us that? You know, I quoted it in Lamentations 3 and 42. It says, "We have transgressed and rebelled." You keep reading it. It says, "You have not pardoned nor pitied us." You know, you keep reading to like verse 44 in Lamentations 3. It says, you have pretty much blocked yourself with the cloud to where our prayers cannot pierce through the sky. So you're not accepting our prayers. You see what I'm saying? We transgressed. We rebelled. So we wonder why now our women act the way they act. And now, why does the scriptures have to sit here and tell us, marvel not when she trespassed against you? Because you went off in the first goddamn place. You know, so is the head, so is the rest of the body, right? You know,
It was actually 26.
26. The water, brother.
Okay, I can get it.
Kind.
It says, I'm just going to read it from here.
Okay.
Ecclesiastes or Sirach chapter 26 and verse 11. Hold on. Hold on, I lost it. Slakia.
No, you good, bro. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Oh, no, that's it.
Okay.
Sirach 26 and 11. Watch over an impudent eye, and marvel not if she trespass against thee.
Yep. It says, watch over an impudent eye. And that word impudent, it goes into boldly rude or unwise. You know, pretty much having the audacity. So it says, watch over an impudent eye and marvel not if she trespass against thee. Right. Why should we not marvel not? Because it's the curse. That shit hurt. That shit hurt. You know what I'm saying? But everything that we go through, especially when it comes to women doing what they do to men, is exactly what we did to the Lord.
Right.
And he's making us feel it. You know, so when that happens, sometimes for some men, they get over it quick. It hurt. For some men, they go buck wild, which we read in First Ezra, where it says men run out of wits over a woman. Because sometimes that woman is all they had. You know. You know, and some.
Slakia.
And I say sometimes men take forever to get over what happened to them from whatever a woman, and it just elongates through the rest of their lives, you know, and they just can't. They wonder why they can't seem to get over a hump because of the portrayal of one woman that did something to them 10 years ago. They can't get over it. That's how the Lord felt when we did it to him. So when we title this lesson, "Women Are the Way They Are for a Reason,"
we the reason.
We the reason.
And then if you want to, you know, look deeper into it, it says, scripture say a wicked woman is given to the portion of a wicked man.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you pretty much, the Lord going to give you what he wants you to have.
Exactly.
You know, don't think that you're going to be a piece of shit and get a perfect righteous woman that does everything for you. No, the Lord gonna give you what you, he gonna repay you what you put out.
Right.
You know, so that's what happened to us
As a people.
as a people, and I'm pretty sure it happened over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the curses are there. That's why it's in the law. That's why Jake was constantly sacrificing lambs and doves
Mm-hmm.
because they knew they was gonna go off, and that over time the Lord was like, "Look, I'm tired of this shit."
Yep.
What you say, your sacrifices are smoke in my nostrils or something like that, Amos.
Yep.
Yeah, he got tired of that, and that's why we have Yahweh Shai to, you know, for that sacrifice. But we got to do all things to be as perfect as possible,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So,
And even then, our righteousness is as filthy rags.
yep. Because hey, before this truth, I'm pretty sure brothers wasn't perfect. You know, we not perfect men. We, you know, we still not perfect, but compared to some of the stuff we used to do, we perfect now. But that's the importance of this truth, and that's the importance of being separated from the world, because the world is indulged in stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of these songs you hear, a lot of men are singing about another man's wife.
Right.
I love your girl. You know, that's off, and it's disgusting.
Right.
But that's just the way of the world, and Esau makes that okay. You know, he puts the stuff in the movies, he puts the stuff in the music, but the scriptures show you that it's not okay. If you do it, I'm gonna mess you up, and that's what's going on. This basically, the world is against the scriptures. The world is against the law.
Mm-hmm. I got a quick precept.
Yeah.
So this is 1 John chapter 3. Let me condense this. In verse 8. Really, you can start at 4. Now I'll start at 4 and I'll jump down. It says, whosoever committed sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. Right? And this is in the New Testament. So all them the New Testament, the Old Testament done away with. No, it's right here saying that sin is a transgression of the law. So if you're not keeping the law to the best of your abilities in this day, you're sinning. You know what I'm saying? And that this is another prime example or idea and understanding in 1 John 3 and 4 that our righteousness is as filthy rags, because we can't keep all the laws in this land right now, or it would be very hard to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's certain things that, you know, it's just hard to keep, you know. But jumping down to verse 8, it says, he that committeth sin is of the devil.
Mm.
For the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of the Most High was manifested. Right. Just like what the brother said. Now we need Yahushua as our mediator. That's why he was manifested. It says that he might destroy the works of the devil. Whosoever is born of the Most High doth not commit sins, for his seed remaineth in him, and he cannot sin because he is born of the Most High. Meaning that blood is sprinkled on you, man. You know what I'm saying? So when we're doing this, we're really getting on men and women. You know what I'm saying? Because you can stop doing whatever the fuck you're doing. You can really stop, you know. And the main reason I say you can stop is because we're reading an account of what was done wrong in a sense, both on the man and the woman's side, because Bathsheba could have screamed out and kept the law, but she didn't.
She like, oh, the king? Let me make sure I'm smelling good, my hair look nice, and she probably put on some oils and stuff.
Now, once did she re-mention Uriah, you know, because she could have came to the chambers and be like, oh, by the way, again, by the way, I don't know if you watched the show Ozark, but this show Ozark is, the main character, the dude, he and his wife got caught up with the cartel. Okay, long story short there. But anywho, before they got caught up, his wife was cheating on him and he found out. and he had like video footage of her actually committing the act. And later on in the series, he finally confronted her, and he was like, when he asked you out to eat, you could have said no. When he got you the first drink, you could have said no. When he told you to, when you got in his car, you could have said no. When you got to the house, you could have said no.
Yep.
When you got in the bed, you could have said no. He was pretty much saying you had plenty, ample amount of times not to do what the fuck you did. You know, and it's kind of the same thing on, you know, Bathsheba's side. You had ample amount of times to be like, I'm Uriah's. You know what I'm saying? And didn't. So it trickles all the way on to today. You women out there have an ample amount of times to say no, regardless if it doesn't even have to be cheating. It could just be you bucking up against your man. You have plenty of times to be like, you know what, let me stop. Because that's a trespass against your man. Mm-hmm. When the scriptures say marvel not if she trespasses, we're not just talking about adultery. That's not the trespassing against a man is usurping authority, rebutting all the time, talking over, of course, adultery, you know what I'm saying? You know, shit. In the grand scheme of things, how a woman surpasses a man today. We have the news on, and the women are news anchors.
Yep.
The fuck?
You got women judges.
Women
police
judges.
officers.
That's women trespassing against the man. Mm-hmm. It's in all spectrums. Not just adultery. We're just talking about that right now because that's just what it was, you know? But he who doesn't commit sin, or he who's born of the Most High, like it says, got that blood sprinkled on you, don't commit sin because you're forgiven. And then you go to Sirach, the 17th chapter. We're about to close up here too. But you go to Sirach, the 17th chapter, I think verse 24. You committed a sin, you repent, and you offend less after that. Meaning you stop doing what the fuck you was doing prior. Just stop it. Just stop. You know? But here we are. You know what I'm saying? Here we are.
Yeah, yeah, just looking back at, you know, how everything was premeditated, you know. Mm-hmm. You had time to change. David had time to change his mind.
David had time.
You know.
And he got counsel.
He could have looked and like, oh man. And then, you know, in a righteous way, I'm pretty sure brothers like that now may see a woman, oh, she got a ring on her finger, she's married, and then you look the other way.
Yep.
You don't even want to have that in your head. Right.
You know, like you might see a very pretty woman walk in or something. Oh man, ooh, yeah, bro, you know, she's fine, bro. She look good or whatever. And then you see a man walk in after and then start holding her hand. You go, ah, dang. Most men don't have that initial reaction. And we're not saying, oh, dang, she's with a man. Like, oh, dang, man, I said that about her and she had a man the whole time. And then you repent. Right. You know, I didn't mean, but you didn't know.
But niggas in the world, oh, I believe I can take her from her. I can take her. I know a nigga like that.
and that's why we're getting, like, this lesson is, I know the title is saying one thing, but the reason is men too. Because you act the way you act. Mm-hmm. You know, we acted the way we acted. And we receiving the consequences from the way we acted, you know, and it's just been over generations. Because didn't it say before? No, it didn't. But no, it said, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this son. And we made that point. The son is everlasting. Because the world is everlasting. Like it says in Ecclesiastes. It's always going to be there. You know, so if it, in the sight of the son, it's always going to happen until the curses fall off of us. You know? So pretty much this is Deuteronomy 28 and 30 amplified.
Right.
You know? got amplified here, and now we're feeling the repercussions of our doings, because all these men that were they're back. They came back. You know what I'm saying? From understanding of One West and GMS history, you know, David did come back. So we understand that David did come back in this eon. You know, so it just followed through.
You know, something that puts fear in all the men that's in the truth. All the men, not just some. All the men fear this. What if you committed adultery in your last lifetime, or the lifetime before that? You know, it's still the second or third generation. The Lord can judge you today.
Yeah.
For that. So you want to make sure we trying to be as right as possible. You know, hoping that the Lord just blink it all, transgressions, even the things that we did in the past life. You know, you still gotta pay for that.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, that's a scary thing. You know, because you might be sitting, I'm doing the right thing, but wait a minute,
did I do the right thing
back then?
That's heavy, and that's scary. Yeah, like you said, that's scary, man.
I was, I'm just gonna put it out there. You know, I have asthma, and I was pretty much born with it. I had it my whole life, and I'll be thinking like, that's judgment from the Lord. What the hell did I do before for me to be, born like this?
But see, someone who's trying to be righteous or a righteous man don't think like that.
No,
what they would do is self-victimize themselves. I have asthma. You know what I'm saying?
Why me?
Right.
You know, it's really your fault. I'm like, it's my fault. I had to do something wrong. What else did I do wrong? Let me just try and be perfect as possible now.
Yep. I mean, that's about all we had. I know we didn't finish all of chapter 12, but we got through majority of we only had about like 4. But I mean, I'll read the last few and then we could close out.
Go into Solomon being born.
Yeah. So verse 24, it says, and David comforted Bathsheba, his wife, and went into her. Jake. I mean, shit.
I don't know, man. I probably like, man, I don't even know. Thinking back, we had a son that was born.
If we should do this again.
But nah, do this again. But that's his wife now.
It's his wife now.
Yeah.
It says, and lay with her, and she bare a son, and he called his name Solomon, and the Lord loved him. And he sent by the hand of Nathan the prophet, and he called his name Jedediah, and because of the Lord. And Joab fought against Rabbah of the children of Ammon, and took the royal city. And Joab sent messengers to David and said, I have fought against Rabbah, and have taken the city of waters. Now, therefore, gather the rest of the people together and encamp against the city and take it, lest I take the city, and it be called after my name. And David gathered all the people together and went to Rabbah and fought against it and took it. And he took their king's crown from off his head, and the weight thereof was a talent of gold with precious stones, and was set on David's head. And he brought forth the spoil of the city in the great abundance. And he brought forth the people that were therein, and put them under saws, and under harrows of iron, and under axes of iron, and made them pass through the brickland. And thus did he unto all the cities of the children of Ammon. So David and all the people returned unto Jerusalem. So that's 2 Samuel chapter 12. Yeah, any closing?
But yeah, after all of that, the end of this chapter still showed that the Lord was dealing with David.
Yep. He
still, had mercy on him. He overlooked his sin. He said, look, you're not going to die. But David still, I'm pretty sure it stayed in his head.
Yeah,
I really fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to carry on for a long time after me. because of me. You know, the Lord gave me all of this and made me king, and I went and did this, and you know, and then the Lord kind of forgave him because he still, you know, they went and took
He
over
did.
another city.
Well, he did forgive him because David was a man after the Lord's heart. You know, so David was always about Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, or you know, Yahweh at that time. So he was always going to bless him. You know, and then ultimately we understand who's going to be set up as the king of Israel
Right.
when the time comes. You know, but you got it, bro.
Yeah, but hey, that was 2 Samuel chapter 12. And you know, that was just our overview. Just going through it, showing you that these things are still going on, and it started back then. So, pray this edifying. Once again, want to close out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, HaKadosh. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone that taught us his truth. Shalom to the elect.
Shalom.